If I have had any success in my career at all, it is on moments when I've listened. That's a deep question. It's got a big edge right there. You fall over. You could fall over, and you won't die, but you'll be very horribly injured.
This is a conversation about technology, but not the kind that talks louder than people, the kind that listens. Andy Austin is a technologist, a strategist, one of the founders at the Industrious, a proud partner of We Can. He lives in Las Vegas, a city built on personalization, high-impact moments, and emotional design. But today, we're far from screens, sensors, and store systems. Up here, in the stillness of the Austrian mountains, where it's easier to think clearly and maybe feel a little deeper. Up here, the air thins, time slows, and sometimes the way down isn't as straightforward as it seemed. This conversation isn't just about commerce, it's about connection, about what happens when we stop optimizing and start listening, why retail still matters, not just to economies, but to emotions, why trust, delight, and loyalty aren't buzzwords, but building blocks. We talk about AT&T, AI, and alpine ski slopes, about malls in Miami, blue sweaters and love, and why the future of retail might depend on how well we can still surprise each other. What has he had to let go of to truly move forward? And if he could make one promise to himself, here at the Mountain Cross, what would that promise be? This is the future of retail, told through loyalty, attention, and quiet leadership. Not from a boardroom, but from the side of a mountain. Welcome to the Bergcast.
Oh, that's a deep question. I'm so lucky to have had the path I've had. What's most exciting, or what I think about most about my career and what's gotten me here, is the human emotions that go along with experience. My first job out of college was running a casino and learning all of the elements that go along with a casino. I don't think there are many more places on earth that are experiential, man-made experiential, than a casino. Our job is to create an experience so human, so in-depth, so managing of the endorphins and the emotions that you have, the value of money no longer becomes important to you. And I learned a lot from that. I'm not saying it's necessarily the most altruistic experiential opportunity I've had, but it was a great place to start. And a lot of very, very cool men and women helped me learn about how it was built, why it was built the way it was built, how important it was that we listened to our guests, that we made eye contact with our guests, that we smiled at our guests. You can't get to the deeper emotions without starting at the most basic emotions. Smiling, making eye contact, asking questions, listening to answers, responding in a human way. Those are all the things that eventually led to the much deeper emotions of addiction, entertainment, delight that then led to the only thing that made money in the casino, which was separating our guests from their money.
You finally, from the casino out, you went on a different career path, right?
Oh, yeah. So I left the casino and then went into what my actual training was in, which is computer science. And I went with everyone else my age and joined a .com in San Francisco. Learned a lot about human communication at that .com in San Francisco because I had the opportunity to be the developer who had the only ability to actually speak with the sales team about our product. And so when it came time to actually sell the product, and the sales team may or may not have been fully able to do so, they would bring me along. And I was thinking, well, why am I sweating and toiling in the boiler room writing the code when I could actually be out here making the money the salespeople are making? So then that's what started my sales career and went on into a career that I could not be more grateful for. But at every single point, all sales is connecting with we'll call them a customer, but I really don't like that term, but connecting with a customer to solve a problem or a need that he or she has in a way that he or she can't do on their own. And it's a very human affect, again, to listen to someone, listen to the problem in which he or she is more expert than you, the problem that he or she is having, and then finding a solution for it that eventually has a cost that is rewarding to both you and your customer. That's one of the things I loved about being part of the AT&T stores, because every single customer who walked into that store knew how they used cellular and where his or her phone did and didn't work. And we had the opportunity to talk about this service, this product that you can't touch, and why we really would love for him or her to become part of the AT&T family. All of that comes from listening. Listening and responding in kind. Two very human emotions, two very human traits that don't require training.
Andy Austin, good to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here, Rulian. This place is beautiful.
Thank you.
It gives you a perspective that allows you to cleanse your mind. It's interesting because there are things about Feld am See that make you a little guilt-ridden for using technology. And you know me, I carry 3 devices, 4 devices sometimes. I believe in ubiquitous connectivity. I love connectivity. But there have been moments today when I have felt that I am not doing the right thing either by myself or by the beauty in which I am surrounded today when using technology. It's kind of amazing. It's not a feeling I ever thought I would have.
Cool. That's good to know.
I'm really intrigued by that.
Yeah, because you flew all the way from Las Vegas, actually, to be here. You're one of the Industrious partner of We Can. I had the fortune of working together with you in the last 2 years. Very fortunate. Also very honored to have you here as one of our first guests on the Berghaus here at Seeblick.
Pleasure's all mine.
But for the people that don't know you yet, can you introduce yourself?
So I'm Andy, and I am a technologist. I do have a degree in technology, but that's obsolete now because I'm old. A lot of people who know me as a retail merchant. So my former career, before starting the Industrious, was executive director of retail customer experience for AT&T. Very, very lucky in that I was part of the team that ran digital transformation from AT&T as we moved from a small regional-based carrier into the national carrier that you see today. We had the opportunity to implement tools designed to improve conversations between salespeople and customers in 2,200 corporate retail stores
Wow.
and 17,000 indirect points of distribution. So things like national distribution or Fred's vacuum and cellular. And the best job I ever had. Fantastic men and women who supported me and had ideas on how we could execute better in our stores, but maybe didn't have the background I had in how technology can be better implemented, how user experience can be delivered via digital tools, and how digital, when executed properly, can improve communication between humans, which is why people go into retail stores.
Yeah.
If I have had any success in my career at all, it is on moments when I have listened. The most important trait to having any success in my career has been listening. And it's been listening to understand rather than listening to respond. And when I think about the moments of failure in my career, every single one of them has been because I failed to listen. And by failing to listen, I failed to understand. The best gift that AT&T gave me for my career was the unbelievable men and women who chose to invest in me and help me understand how to be successful at AT&T and thereby be successful beyond AT&T. And when I was successful, it was because I was able to listen, to understand, and then execute on the understanding that came from that listening. And that's what I think is most important when designing experiences, when designing retail spaces, when designing the opportunities that have shaped my career and that I get the fantastic chance to work with others on, is to listen to problems and, most importantly, listen to customers and be able to create environments or experiences that would drive understanding that then heightens emotions, surprises and delights, and helps someone feel very, very good about the purchase that he or she is about to make and about how that product will affect him or her outside the four walls of the store. All of that is totally impossible without listening.
The best job I ever had was when I was 24 years old running a casino.
Wow.
And so one of my first jobs out of college was to enter the management training program at Caesars Tahoe. And I landed in casino marketing and operations and had an absolute blast. Learned a ton about interpersonal communication, how to leverage human emotion to drive behavior. Because think about what casinos are all about. Casinos are all about making you feel so fantastic that you lose track of time, kind of lose track of place, and you lose track of budget. And the only way that casinos, back then, the only way the casinos made money was to separate you from your money at the slot machines or the tables and make you feel good about having done it. That's changed a little bit in the casino industry now. The focus on revenue from gaming operations is lessened, and the focus on revenue from what used to be auxiliary operations like food and beverage and lodging have gone up. But it was a great place to start my career. Fantastic place to start my career. And again, it was supported by men and women who believed that there was some potential in a young Andy Austin 30 years ago, and invested in me and helped me be successful at Caesars. And I'm very lucky in my career. I get to travel around. I get to meet people all around the world. It's very important to me to understand how consumers shop and buy all around the world so that I can be a better provider of services to my clients. So I take very seriously travel and always shopping, always talking to people, always understanding what retail looks like in other places, how it continues to be successful in places that aren't the United States. And I'm lucky that this is one of my many stops.
Although I'm a second generation Eagle Scout and my son is a third generation Eagle Scout. I'm very proud of that. Scouting is something that you have to really work at and set your goals about how you're going to achieve the different elements that allow you to advance to however scouting attracts you. That's one of the wonderful things about scouting is you can join and not care about advancement through the ranks, but still learn a lot about growing into a man through merit badges and things like that. Or you can follow the script and go through the ranks and get this insignia of Eagle, which I'm very proud of. It indicates that you have started and finished something. And it indicates that you have met requirements that are known to many, many people in industry and in life in general. So I think about the fact that one of the merit badges I got was the welding merit badge. And I would never ever have welded anything. And today, I don't weld anything. But scouting gave me the opportunity to say, if you try something new like welding, then that'll be part of this path that you've chosen to show others that you are advancing in your scouting career. Now, why welding? So welding was interesting because welding is a lot more than just welding. Welding is metallurgy, it's chemistry, and it's patience, and it's training, and it's understanding. And so when you think about something like welding, of course I came out with an eagle welded to a plate of metal, which is in the garage somewhere. But it means that I, at the age of 16, tried these different things and was exposed to a moment of patience that I wouldn't otherwise have done if I was at home watching television. Each merit badge encompasses multiple elements that then culminate in this piece of cloth called a merit badge. And I think a lot about that, about projects, and when we're trying to solve problems for our clients, and when we're trying to do a deliverable or create a statement of work. There's tons of different elements of life and experience that people are looking to each of us for to deliver what looks like a single deliverable. But when you look at welding, you don't have success in welding if you don't learn patience. And you certainly don't have success in business or even interacting with other human beings unless you learn things like patience and listening and understanding and the basic human emotions that make us good people to other people.
Yeah. Yeah, again, happy to have you here. It's so fun to work with you because you seem to, as a technologist, kind of a technology geek and nerd as well, because I see you with all kinds of different gadgets walking around, and I'm always jealous because I'm always an early adapter as well. But you always seem to get that hook back for that personal connection, for that the relationship, and that the whole way of how technology works these days should be no friction between that personal interaction, that personal relationship that you have.
Well, there's no reason to add friction into a commerce relationship.
Okay.
It's already too difficult to do commerce because it's difficult to discover new products. Mm-hmm. And it's specifically in the United States, offline commerce or our retail executions are suffering. Mm-hmm. They're suffering because of a imbalance between the costs of executing offline retail, which is the value of retail real estate and the cost of staffing and the enormous supply chain and logistics costs that go into running offline retail.
Of course.
Versus the either refusal or inability to measure the effectiveness of offline retail when we as a brand or retailer have the opportunity to try to get the same dollar via what we call omni-channel or online retail. So the challenges are immense, and there's already too much friction. And there's already issues like the paradox of choice, a gap between the understanding of what products or services a brand can offer to a consumer, the gap between that and what the purveyor of the goods believes they have to offer the consumer. When you take a look at the fact that a company like Forever 21 couldn't make it work,
Yeah.
they had excellent real estate. They took advantage of a glut in real estate and got fantastic locations at a price that I wish I could have paid when I was at AT&T. They had they didn't have very high staffing costs because they didn't need very sophisticated staffing, and the costs of their goods weren't that high.
No.
But they still had to fill these humongous stores with every SKU in every size. So they must have had unbelievable logistics and supply chain issues, and they must have had huge costs, huge carrying costs. If a company like Forever 21 can't nail their customer and fully understand exactly what that customer wants and right-size the product portfolio to that customer, you just have a ubiquitous issue
Yeah.
with offline retail in the United States as it stands.
Yeah.
And so we as merchants have a responsibility to remove every element of friction, or if friction exists, to mask that friction by creating gleeful, delightful, surprising, and endorphin-inducing experiences, just like we do in casinos, to make value in getting that consumer in the store and then making the time in the store extremely valuable to the consumer so that we can do the ultimate execution, which is increase shopping cart size and improve willingness to recommend. Without executing this properly, then the stores just become fulfillment centers.
Yeah.
And the internet will continue to get better and better and better at becoming a fulfillment center.
Yeah.
And what we don't really do well on the internet, this happens sometimes, but not as well in my belief as it can happen in offline retail, is the delightful experience of finding something new that was brought to me by a brand that cares about me and that's listening to me.
Yeah. Connect.
You know, why do people go skiing?
It's the rush of getting down.
It's the rush of
flowing.
speed
There's
and
speed, there's flow, there's...
It activates different emotions, right? You
Yes.
feel free, but in control, or maybe on the edge of control, but you still have the opportunity to get back into control if you need it.
Yes.
Often when you're skiing, if you're really going at speed, you're alone, right? All you're hearing is the air in your.
Yes. There's
In your
not.
ears,
There's
and you're
not. It's very individualistic.
It's very individual,
Yeah.
but it activates multiple senses. So when you go down this hill, you hear the wind in your ears, you feel the speed on your skin, you feel the downhill G-forces, and all of that is your body listening to what's happening to it, and then your body responds appropriately to it. Otherwise, you fall off this cliff here, RJ, into a painful, bone-breaking
listening to me.
Yeah, it's about connecting with emotions as well, instead of only the screen.
Well, and I hate to say leveraging emotions,
Oh yeah, okay.
but that's the
true.
thing, because you can leverage technology to enhance that emotion. You can leverage technology to help the customer understand that you as a brand are listening to her. And you can improve her experience in store.
Yeah,
And you can help her try to find something that maybe she wasn't considering. And that's what I love about the potential for AI in retail.
okay.
You want to talk about that, RJ?
Yeah, please. I'm a user. I try to get everything out of it. Earlier on, we even were listening to some AI tunes that you wrote up.
That's right.
Very good musical skills there.
Were they
please.
perfect? They weren't perfect, but they were very delightful.
Seriously, we danced here. I don't think that
No, we're
we're
not
going
gonna
to
have
show that footage, but yeah. No.
But we at the Industrious have been doing a lot of research in how AI can be added into some of the concepts that we believe will improve offline retail. And I'm also a big believer in avoiding analysis paralysis and trying something that may not necessarily be fully baked. Now, there's a company that disagrees with me. That company is Apple. And I'm very glad that they disagree with me. As we all know, their own version of AI, which is called Apple Intelligence,
AI. So funny.
is supposed to release in May.
Yes.
And Apple came out 6 months ago and said, everyone's got to move up to the new iPhone because you can't have Apple Intelligence without it.
Yeah.
You need the new chip.
Yeah.
Well, of all the people on earth who understand that, that's me. And I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
And then Apple announced last week, we're going to miss the May deadline.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yes. I love that they did that because my device is very, very intimate to me. And I believe that these devices are very intimate to each of their users.
Yes, for sure.
And there's a lot of great reasons that I believe both the Android operating system and iOS have created that level of trust with users.
Yeah.
And it all comes down to
Should
control.
keep it that way,
Yes,
please.
absolutely.
Yes.
And it comes down to control of that device and the data within it.
Yeah.
Apple is extremely focused on privacy and security. And we have no choice but to believe them, but I also have no reason not to believe them on privacy and security. And so the very first elements of Apple Intelligence are kind of cool, but not really useful. I mean, they summarize my email, they do those little things.
And they want to go beyond expectations, as they do as always.
Yes.
But the problem, I guess, with Apple as well, is that the world moves on.
Well, the world's going to move on, but see, we all have certain expectations from AI that fit into the current use cases of AI, but don't necessarily fit into the Apple Intelligence use case of AI.
Okay.
And the key to this is that data and computer execution or technology execution in the past has been mostly deterministic. And AI and generative AI and the place where AI is today is probabilistic. And so let's take the music that we made a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Was it perfect? No. Were some of the words wrong? Absolutely. Did it meet the requirement of what we asked for when we said, write a song about this? And the answer is 100% yes. When you go to ChatGPT and ask it to edit your text, or as some of my fiance's students do, please write my term paper.
Yes, please. Thank you.
And it does it. And it does it to a level that is very acceptable to us, knowing that it's better than what we could have done in the time that it took to do it. But it's certainly not the absolute best output that AI could have given. It's probabilistic.
Yeah.
And so Apple can't take probabilistic because we can't kind of be 90% on security or privacy. Or we can't kind of be, we kind of read this part of your email, but you really didn't want us to read that part of your email. So there's a lot of really nuanced things that go along with AI in a intimate device where my secrets and photos I don't want others to see, and photos that and data like proprietary documents from my company, I don't want to be part of that universe.
No.
Okay, that's a probabilistic system.
Yeah.
Now let's go back to where retail is today. Retail consumers want relationships with brands. But they also say, I really don't like you having my data. I love my phone because I control it and I control what photos are in it. And if I really don't want that.
But it's mine. It's
in
mine.
right.
My bubble.
Okay, so here's what happens.
Contained.
Retailer X, you've got my data. You bought data from Google about my browsing history. And now you're treating me like everybody else and doing scattershot. You look like a 52-year-old man who buys these things. So we're just going to start spamming you with this stuff. And if
Throwing
this
it at
hits
you.
or that hits, that's good. Now that is because it's based on a deterministic system. Legacy systems like Salesforce and legacy marketing models
Yeah.
can only be deterministic.
Yeah.
It can only be, here's the data set, here's the products that fit the data set, here's the behavior in the middle. Now write this email,
Yeah.
and we're going
push the right message to the right person.
right.
Please.
We're going to A and B test it. Okay? That's deterministic. It's kind of boring. And honestly, the way that it's been implemented, it is not, in many cases, it's not enhancing the relationship with the customer.
No.
Certainly I get an email every so often that says, this is on sale now. Well, luckily, I was looking for that to be on sale. That's a win, but that's the 2 units out of 1,000, which is in some cases a good enough marketing hit rate. Here's what I love about AI. AI can take multiple data sets, multiple things that define me, and AI can be just like the generative AI that we see today and be good enough and do some surprise and delight. If I am out shopping with my fiance, she doesn't say, blue sweater, $22, purchase. What she says is, whoa, Andy, look at that blue sweater. That would look great on you. It goes along with your skin. It matches those trousers that you bought last week. And you know what? It looks a lot like the one with the holes in it that I want you to get rid of. I think you'd look great in this sweater. That's a human interaction.
Yeah.
That's an emotion-based interaction. And AI, and you know what else it is? It's a probabilistic execution. Because Melissa has no idea if I will like that sweater or not. Right?
Of course.
But she has a data set to evaluate and use human emotion to try to influence me that she would like that sweater. And that's exactly what we're finding when we are using generative AI models today to do these things like fake out term papers
Yeah.
or try to enhance search. So it's starting to get there. But here's what I think is fantastic. Retail in itself is a closed environment. Because you can ask AI things like, what's the secret to life? And it's going to try very, very hard to find an answer because that's how the AI is programmed. I've got to give the user some kind of answer. So I'm going to leverage that and I'm going to make a bunch of test cases and do all this at the speed of light in my very, very fancy NVIDIA chip, and I'm going to come up with an answer. And of course, whoever asks that question is going to know the answer is not perfect. So they're going to go along with this probabilistic, they did the best job they can. What's great about retail is you have both a closed data set. I've got a set of behaviors, which is not infinite, and I've got a set of results, which is not infinite. The products in my product suite, or the products that I'm going to design, that go into or the services, of course. Products or services that go into my product suite. So, and then the other thing that you have in retail, which I love, is you've got the desire of the shopper to insert his or her opinion or expertise into the result of that data set. So if you approach it based on your previous experiences, we think that these things would fit you great, and here's why. That is a technologically delivered execution of the human execution that I just gave you. And she and I love to go shopping. So we have a great time. We love to go shopping. It works great. She's stuck with that. That's going to be the thing. And I'm glad that she is. So when I look at AI and the execution of AI, we come back to the nexus of what the Industrious believes, which is to create experiences that reward the shopper for wanting to have a deeper relationship with a brand. And it's all very human-based, that the brand listens to the shopper. Remember, we already have all the data, but we don't really use it right. The brand listens to the shopper. The brand responds to the shopper in kind and creates these experiences and environments where the shopper feels like the time invested and the information that I use to make purchases will not only reduce buyer's remorse, it will allow me to gleefully use that product or service outside the four walls of that store. AI is a great execution for this because of its probabilistic nature and the tools and the data that we can put into it to make it successful.
Within the contained retail environment.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's all already there, RJ. We just have to execute on it. We have to try something.
So Andy, how could retailers, you've met a lot of them in a couple of years, how can they implement these technologies that are here right now?
I love that question, RJ, because I think one of the reasons that we don't see anything happening is because we're trying to eat the whole elephant at one time. It doesn't take a lot to execute something today. And I'll just give you an example where any portion of this would be better than what we're doing today.
Okay.
So when there's a moment of inspiration, when there's a desire to not forget something, when there is a question that can be answered, 100% of the time, human beings today pull out their mobile.
Yes.
If I am driving around and I'm like, oh, I have to make sure I pay the water bill tonight.
Yeah. Easy.
Remind me at 8 o'clock tonight to pay the water bill. When I am having a moment on the train and I remembered that I needed to replace that sweater, I go and I begin my online shopping experience, or hopefully put something in a cart that I could pick up at a store. So mobile is very often the entry point to a sub-experience in users' lives that may eventually lead to a purchase. That's also a great way that retailers today collect these data points. Retailers today collect a ton of data on products clicked in their online shops, cart abandonment rates. A lot of retailers do pricing, A/B price testing online, and they gather fantastic data. So consumers don't have an aversion to using their mobile devices. No. Honestly, when the Amazon people started their stuff, retailers were afraid of showrooming and wanted consumers to keep their devices in their pockets. But it's been proven that consumers want to have better conversations with brands. Consumers want to have deeper engagement with brands. They want the brands to make them offers and make them and provide products and services to them that they want. And consumers want to use their trusted mobile devices.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want retailers to have to boil the ocean and take a current legacy retail experience and totally change it overnight. Although we did do that at AT&T in our experience stores. They don't need to do that overnight, but we can start to support the consumer's desire to better use technology to enhance the investment they've already made in time and gasoline and all those other resources into coming into that store to do more than just fulfillment, to find products, to reduce propensity for buyer's remorse, to better understand the brand. And there are tools out there that will allow us to do this. For example, there are tools out there today that play a noise or a sound in the stores that is like a dog whistle.
Okay.
It's imperceptible to humans, but it's a different frequency in different sections of the store. It would be very easy for a retailer to create a pilot app that would change the store experience and would say, hey, you are in the test store or the new experience store of XYZ retailer. Come on in and download this app. And as the consumer moves physically around the store, the app is picking up these imperceptible sounds.
Yeah, so much megahertz.
Yes, which signals to the device that you are in this zone of the store. And the device responds to you and says things like, oh, you're in the sweaters.
Yeah.
We'd love to tell you about our ecological production of these sweaters. What are the things you'd like to learn about these sweaters? Here's what's amazing about this. Not all consumers, but most consumers would be very interested in finding a new way to shop and a new way to discover products that appears to be designed specifically for the consumer to have a better experience. But retailers would gather a ton of data about the efficacy of their stores, how their merchandising is being adapted or adopted by consumers, heat mapping the stores, which we do some of today.
Yeah.
But there would be a ton of stuff. And the word of mouth that would go along with that would be amazing. You know, one of the things I think about all the time is I shop everywhere. And I do a lot of shopping in leisure type locations. For example, in Miami, there are entire malls that are built to for tourists, specifically for tourists to because they come to that area.
And it's time.
And it's leisure time stuff and all that. And what one of the distinguishing characteristics of these malls is that they offer a service to deliver your products back to your hotel.
Easy.
Yeah, and
You
someone
don't have to hustle with it.
but someone's making money on that.
Of course.
Okay, so if I'm a retailer and I've got a store in that mall, and I'm paying a portion of the freight for these people to have their stuff shipped back to the hotel. Well, I've got an online store, so why aren't I just allowing them to discover these products, build a cart, and ship the stuff home?
Yeah.
Now, no, of course, not every consumer is going to want that. Some people are going to buy a beautiful dress and want to go out that night. But think of the data. Think of the activation. Think of the endorphins that go along with the fantastic experience that your customer's having.
Yeah, and how fun is it that you have this box delivered to your house when you come home?
And you built the box on your device while you were touching and ingesting the beauty of that product.
Yeah.
And then what you built,
Tangible.
yes, you felt the product. That's why you went to the store. So maybe it was impulsive, maybe it wasn't, whatever it was. But then what you're building are the endorphins that go along with the anticipation of when I get home, and that brand fulfilled what I wanted. I never would have considered it if I was on the bus stop at home.
No.
These things are, I'm not going to say they're easy, because there are a lot of challenges that offline retailers have in America today. And I am sympathetic to them, of course, because I was a merchant. And I want to have these conversations about the experiences that I had and the experiences that I see around the world with merchants that want to improve their customer experience. But these are, so again, they're not easy to do, but many of the tools are already within the retailers. And many of the building blocks, like this audio thing I talked about, are available. But we're not necessarily putting together the
puzzle pieces.
The puzzle pieces to make it happen. And part of that has to do with how we measure the effectiveness of our offline retail. And many retailers today measure the effectiveness of their stores at one point in time. That one point in time is at the till.
Yes.
And, well, we sold, and I get it, and I did the same thing. At AT&T, we did the exact same thing. So we measured how many things were sold and how many things are in the store.
Yeah.
It's basic algebra. But we can increase the value of our stores by knowing more about what's happening in them. And a lot of that can happen with just this little basic example I gave. And there's a lot more that can be done. There's a lot more that can be done. A phase 2 or phase 3 of the example I just gave would then be to implement AI. About, well, you're spending some time here, and this product goes with this product, and product adjacencies, and everything that goes along with that. How can we make it easier for you to get?
It knows by the app what you've bought earlier on.
Right.
So,
and
hey,
I
we have some new shoes, new red shoes that goes perfectly with it.
I believe fully, with all the fiber of my being, that this is what consumers want. And when properly executed in a beautiful, high affordance user experience, that it will drive word of mouth, it will drive endorphins, and it will increase top line execution. I believe this because when we wanted to make magic happen at AT&T Experience Store number 1, and we had all these ideas of how we wanted to get people to feel the network and to touch the services that can only be provided by the amazing 3G AT&T network. When we did that, the only tool available to us were these humongous IBM laptops that would injure you if you dropped it on your foot.
Yes, I can imagine.
That's what we had.
No
but we
fancy
made it,
digital signage.
right. Nothing about tracking shoppers and personal engagement. We had these humongous laptops, but it worked, and it was great, and consumers loved it.
Yeah.
And then for people who know me, they know that we implemented the largest and first and only Microsoft Surface tables, which weighed about 800 pounds each.
I've seen some pictures that
Yes.
you...
And again, the technology is there. The perfect execution is not. But we need to have courageous merchants who have a laser focus on the customer experience, matched with people who have a passion for user experience and user interface, and a couple of nerds who make sure the database is built right. And you put all that together, and you absolutely can make an experience that changes consumer perception and improves top line.
And I also guess that the investment made, where hey, you're talking about those laptops and Microsoft Surfaces, and they were pretty cool, and there were novelties back then. But a lot of these experience, the the novelty factor is still there, but I guess that a lot of tools and technologies that are available right now are also ones that can hold out longer.
Oh, well, absolutely.
So that laptop that had a after 2 years, the novelty was gone and the whole thing, oh, a laptop. Oh, yeah, well, I've seen those before. But the digital signage, you can do so much stuff with it. The audio, the apps, you can build upon it. So the investment that you made back then on those laptops, 1 year, 2 years, and then the novelty wore out. But the tools that are now available that you can implement right now, I guess that the investment is for the long run, because you can reuse it with different kinds of experiences.
You absolutely can reuse it with either one-to-many experiences or one-to-one experiences. You can use it to interface with mobile, which to me is really the magic. That's the key. Interface with mobile, because people already trust their mobile.
Yeah.
So interface with mobile, and then we have a responsibility to leverage whatever the consumer gives us as a piece of technology that we can leverage. One of the things that I think is fantastic and amazing about Asia is that they have removed all friction that goes along with payment.
Yeah.
And turned it into
Via WeChat.
yes, exactly, via WeChat. And what's so interesting about it is that I, as a visitor, was missing experiences because I could not participate in WeChat.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I couldn't even check into my hotel
Wow.
because I didn't have a WeChat number.
Is WeChat the same as an account? Can you have is it also used as a loyalty card?
Exactly. So
among multiple.
it's a social network.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of Venmo and your friends, and
It's so much bigger than Meta regarding this kind of tooling.
Yeah, you
It
can't
goes,
really-
It goes much deeper.
you can't really compare it. Yeah. Yeah. Now, part of the thing is of course the government's involved in it and everything.
Oh, yeah,
But by doing that, it changes the magic that goes along with purchase, because you can do the loyalty thing, you can do adjacencies, you can do cross-vendor promotions.
Friction that I was in. Example, I was in the last time I visited you in Las Vegas. I visited the Nike store, and I bought some fancy white Nike sneakers. Of course, here in the mountains, useless, but they were nice.
They look good.
And this girl on the counter said, "Well, do you have the Nike app?" No, I don't have the Nike. So then she took me. Okay, pull out your phone. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, this whole encounter cost me 5 minutes, where I have to fill out like a whole sequence of questions to get like $5 off or something like that. And I was like, okay, now I have a Nike app on my phone where I had an account, but it took me too long.
Right. And also, have you used the Nike app since you've left?
No,
Right.
didn't push anything to me. Didn't use. There was no experience for me outside of that outlet mall.
Right. Right. So they're measuring the wrong things.
Yes.
In my opinion, and I would love to do work with Nike, so I will be careful. There's a ton of missed opportunity
Yeah.
with that.
For sure.
But they're getting a bunch of data.
Yeah, but of course,
Yes.
perfect.
Right.
But for the experience for me as a customer, that retail experience that I had, it finished there.
Yes. These things are hard because these humongous retailers like Nike have a lot of departments and have a lot of different things that they need to look at to measure success. And honestly, I'm asking them to add more measurements, because we can't understand success unless we establish the beginning of the project.
Yeah.
We're going to measure these new things like consumer, we're going to create, I'm just saying, making something up. We're going to create a new metric that is consumer in-store interaction. What does it mean? Well, it means a lot of things. It means how long were they there? Where did they walk? How many products did they touch? How many SKUs were they exposed? How deep was their research? Oh, that's a lot of different things. Yeah, it's great. How are we going to get that? We're going to do it through this project where we're going to interface with the user's mobile as part of the product discovery and in-store customer journey experience. Well, how are we going to do that? That's what the project is. But it's difficult to do because while you are being asked to add more intricacy to a legacy operation, you've got to keep the plane flying. So we still have to come up with great products and services. We still have to come up with new reasons for the customer to interface with us. If you're an apparel company, you have to come up with gorgeous new product.
Yeah.
And while you're doing all that, sometimes these special projects fall by the wayside. But I believe fully that without doing it, very soon we will have no reason at all for offline retail. It's going to get too expensive and pay back less to the brands. And that will be the final death blow to offline retail. And in the United States, it's already well underway.
But that means that every encounter that you have with a brand is online. And we are, as human beings, we're emotional, we need our senses. We need our sensory inputs, or the tangibility of a magic experience that you have with your brand, not so much of the hat that you just got into your mill and put it on. No. What is that? The cap together with your sporting team as well, right?
Well, I agree with you, RJ, that the magic experience is what we're trying to get to.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of that out there.
Unfortunately.
Right. We just have to start with making locations and making experiences offline that make the customer the star of the show so that we can drive that thrill of discovery. The key is the thrill of discovery. If you just need fulfillment, you don't need to go to an offline store anymore. But you want to see what are the beautiful things that are going to make my holiday better. What are the beautiful things that I think would look great in my home? There's a lot of companies spending a ton of money to try to make that happen via browser.
Yeah.
But we've got great stores. How can we better execute them to have a better conversation with the customer?
It's like I don't know who I talked to lately, but I was talking about the MediaMarkt.
Love MediaMarkt. Never leave Holland without checking out MediaMarkt.
When it just started in Rotterdam, I was like a 16-year-old boy, and I'm an early adapter just like you. I always went in there, and I always got that profound exploration of new toys, technology, whatever was available. How do you think that they are? Because I haven't been visiting the MediaMarkt in the Netherlands, but I visited here the MediaMarkt in Austria. It's dulled out.
I'm not going to say dulled out. I will say that there are opportunities, especially because of their suite of products.
Yeah,
There are great opportunities to do more than create a legacy Nespresso display out of gorgeous wood with fantastic lighting. There can be more that can be done.
I think that we have a different experience from the shops that are in the Netherlands and the shops that are here in Austria, because here those experiences are less. I guess in Rotterdam and the Netherlands they're much higher into
It's still
this.
not enough. No. It's still not enough, RJ. But at least it's something. But again, that's where I started with legacy execution of let's find better ways to display the device. Let's find better ways to show the phone. Well, that's not even halfway. My job at AT&T was to figure out a way to get a consumer to understand that her experience outside the store was going to be best on the AT&T network, and the people she wanted to touch and the content she wanted to deliver to her had to be done on the AT&T network. That is an intangible.
Yeah, so the store was a liftoff of that whole journey that they have.
And as
when
much as I
using
love
the product, yeah.
the men and women who created a beautiful layout, we had to enable salespeople to have these conversations.
Yeah.
And we had to create technology that delivered content so a salesperson could have a very human conversation with a shopper, knowing that the content was available if they may have forgotten something. I mean, there was a moment in time when AT&T advertised that we had the most phones of anybody. Great. But what did that mean for my salespeople?
Yeah.
That was hard.
Enormous amount
was
of
hard.
information
Right.
and expectation regarding.
Yes. We loved
details.
that we could say that, but it was hard. So, and it came down to, you went to the store to talk to a human and to get some compassion and to get your questions answered.
Yeah.
And that's what another human does. Now, what I'm saying is, very soon, we can use some AI tools to enhance that experience between two humans.
Andy, regarding the upcoming 5 years, what do you want to achieve with the Industrious?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you. I love that question because when AI started, AI has been bubbling up for quite a while, but it wasn't really reachable until quite recently. I go back to the metaverse thing.
Mm-hmm.
So when the metaverse thing came, a lot of people who were right came to me and said, Andy, you should take the Industrious and become the leader in metaverse at retail. And we spent quite a bit of time and wrote some papers about the metaverse and how it could execute at retail, but I never really felt it with all my heart.
Okay.
That was the thing. And thank goodness it fizzled. At least what we thought was the promise of the metaverse fizzled.
It was a bit like, it really started like Second Life, right? That was the precursor of
Right,
it. Yeah.
right. But you weren't going to expect me to say this. We learned a ton from the metaverse experience.
Okay.
And I love your 5-year thing, your 5-year constraint. And we spoke a few minutes ago about the constraint that will make AI successful in retail, because the constraints are a limited data set and then limited solutions
limited
at
products,
each retailer. So
services.
that's actually a blessing. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That you can then put AI kind of in a cage and let it run wild in a smaller set. So 5 years is perfect, because what we learned from the metaverse was that consumers are interested in the Second Life thing. They wanted to see if it was going to go somewhere. But then over time, we found the places where it belongs, in gaming and somewhat in communication and things like that. What's going to happen in the next 5 years, if we don't change what we're doing in retail, is that consumers are going to protect themselves from this scattershot data manipulation, annihilation of my email box with this, I'm going to send this email out to 1,000 people, even if it only works for 2.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen in the next 5 years is we're no longer going to be marketing to consumers. We're going to be talking to bots, because the consumer is going to take the technology and put it in between us.
As a protection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Protection for time.
as a retailer, want to take that digital layer and put it between me and the consumer, because it adds value to the conversation the consumer wants to have with me.
Yeah.
Instead of technology working against me, I have a chance now to make technology work for me.
Personal relationships.
And that's got to happen. So the Industrious is going to do one of 2 things in the next 5 years if I'm successful. One, we're going to find courageous retailers who understand this digital layer. It's a digital layer between us and the consumer, and leverage it in a way that the consumer says, I want to ingest that digital layer. But if I can't find that courageous retailer, then I'm going to build those bots, because I can help consumers have better conversations with retailers in that direction. There is no question the right way to do it is to do it from the retailer to the consumer, so the consumer feels that the retailer has his or her best interests in mind and is creating products and services that can only be bought from that retailer. But we can build the bot too.
That's a great vision.
I got two eyes. One's working better than the other, for those people who know me. One works better than the other. So the vision is focused on one, but I can make my bad eye work on the bot.
Cool.
That was a good answer, RJ.
That was a good
That's
answer.
a fucking good answer.
that was that's,
Jeroen, that
that's-
shit was good.
that was like
That was better than the tattoo thing.
that was seriously.
Yeah.
That's some snippets right there. Andy, you flew all the way here.
I didn't fly all the way.
Well,
I flew part of the way, and that
and then you flew another part.
I
Then
want
we-
people to understand that there's nothing flying here other than very beautiful birds.
Well, Matt is questioning that still. He hears them. but
I
he
don't want to
doesn't
talk
say-
about Matt.
We actually went to Salzburg. You flew to Salzburg. It was
flew to Salzburg.
a very nice experience.
You know the most famous person come out of Salzburg?
No, we're not going to do
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No, we're not going to go in this.
No
this
one
conversation.
talks about Mozart.
Yeah, they do. They do. But I hope you get your cuckoo's clock. We will take care of the cuckoo's clock. Of course, we have Jeroen and Bulent. At this moment, they are in Spain, visiting the IMA right there. But they have a question for you. So I have Jeroen here. So I'm going to pass this over. You can press play as you go along
Hello, Jeroen.
and see.
Hi Andy, welcome in Austria. From Sagrada Familia, I have a question for you. What do you like the most about doing business in Europe? And are there any downsides? Let us know.
So, Europe.
I've spent quite a bit of resource to establish the Industrious in Europe. We've had some successful projects out here and met some fantastic people. But there's one specific element about European retail that I am fantastically in love with and want to try to be part of the ecosystem that nurtures it, protects it, and keeps it going, because it is the opposite of what happened in the United States.
How's that?
In the United States, we did a great job of building these gorgeous shopping malls that became the epicenter of any type of hamlet, town, city, any municipal structure that we had. And it was a place to meet others. It was a place to be entertained. It was a place to be delighted. It was a place to discover. And if you were a retailer, you had to be in every mall. And there is a cavalcade of retail brands that were in these malls and that were all throughout the United States. Great names that I love, like Sears, Montgomery Ward, Kmart, Zodi's. It goes on and on. And in certain regions, hopefully people who are listening to this have their own that they remember that were part of their youth, their childhood, or adolescence, or even their adult life, that they knew they could go to the mall and see this store and find something new and get what they needed. That's all eroded in the United States.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, one of my opinions, which may be wrong, but one of my opinions is that we can't execute some of these test ideas in the United States that I wish, because the men and women who I love, who are merchants, who are running stores,
Or not.
have a bigger problem, which is I've got to figure out my cost problem. I've got to figure out my supply chain. I've got to optimize that, and I've got to optimize my real estate portfolio.
Survival.
Well, yes, it's fair for you to say survival. I don't like to use that word because these are very smart people who
Yeah.
have legacies
but-
in retail and know what they're doing, but external forces have attacked what they're working on. And so instead of doing stuff that we hope will flourish us, we've got to fix these issues that we have. One of the things that I love about Europe is I've been able to visit humongous cities like London, and I've gone to tiny hamlets like Breda. And you know what? Every single one of them still has a vibrant high street that substitutes for the shopping mall that we had in the United States. I don't know why Westfield built a shopping mall in Den Haag, but they did.
It's big.
It's big, but it's just one. We don't have to have all of them. But brands like Van Haren and other brands that I can't pronounce properly are in each of these high streets. They're whether it's a humongous town like Amsterdam,
Yeah.
or whether it's a tiny town like Tilburg, there are these brands that are pervasive throughout the country, and these brands will not give up on the offline retail promise. And what they've done is over time had the natural ability to create a fleet of stores that are right-sized and right-placed for the location in which they exist. So clearly, the Van Haren on the Lijnbaan in Rotterdam is not going to look anything like the Van Haren in Gouda. But there's one there. And so since this problem has been solved, or at least it's been solved to the level that I, as an outsider, don't see it as a problem, since these brands have these fantastic real estate portfolios and these beautiful offline executions that are already there, we have a non-existence of a problem that should allow us now to make an investment to focus on the customer. To answer the second part of Jeroen's question, I found the people that I've been able to speak with and the brands that I've met to be very open-hearted, to want to listen to some continental thinking. They respect the bruises and the experience that I have from having executed digital transformation at AT&T. I'm so blessed to have been at a brand that everyone knows. And I love doing work here. I've got fantastic partners in We Can, great collaboration, places to sit and talk about new ideas, people to talk to about when I want to come up with an idea and understand what are the tech stacks that might help execute that. We've got some of that at the Industrious, but we leverage our We Can partners to have those conversations and to understand how things would execute better here. And We Can has been lovely in taking me around Europe, introducing me to people, and helping us better understand Europe. We're never going to be European, but we certainly can be a very close partner from America to try to bring some thinking and some of the mistakes that we've made in America to do better execution out here. The best projects I've ever done as part of the Industrious, some of the best projects I've ever done as part of the Industrious have been here in Europe, and we're very grateful for it. But retail in Europe and Asia is as vibrant as it can be, and now we can really wow some shoppers by showing them stuff using technology that they never thought they'd see.
Andy, totally appreciate your time. You flying in here, you have tons of work to do still here in Europe. I'm very humble and honored that you were one of my first guests here, even in Seeblick. Still renovating the place, and I hope that I can welcome you once more after this summer, perhaps. Thank you for your time.
It's been an unbelievably rewarding experience. And as I said at the beginning, the challenge of trying to take more moments away from technology was only enhanced or maybe better driven by being in an idyllic place like where I am. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to have been out here.
Thank you, Andy.
Grazie.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm very lucky to be here.
Why?
Well, not a lot of people get an opportunity to take advantage of time to be in places like this that are so inspirational, that are natural, that are a combination of vocation and avocation. I was thinking when I woke up at my beautiful Airbnb this morning about how lucky I am to be able to go to a beautiful place that's magical like that someone's put all of his and her heart and soul into, and work. That's an unbelievable opportunity that not very many people get. So I'm grateful for that.